Zhen, National Central University, Taiwan, to host the session. National Central University, Taiwan, to host the session.
Good morning. And also my pleasure to share this information by professors Stephen Ministry of Education in Taiwan. Let's welcome Professor Yang. Let's welcome Professor Yang.
Long time, no friend is not. Also, he is my name. To digital learning, to shift my work from computer science more into education. So I would like to tell you she's my name. To good friend, and also online. Very important lesson is more into I'm Stephen Young from the Central University. Today, the topic was there are two projectors kind of confused actually. So normally I move around or depends on where is the majority of all these things are quite balanced. That's my way of getting away. So precision application is a concept. Where is the majority of economics things are quite balanced. If my study is applied precision education to improve teacher's teaching and students' learning. Today I would like to share three case studies, which was as 3 years of research applied precision education to improve. First of all, we define precision education. We have a publication in last year, we define precision education as 3 years of research. Applying artificial intelligence and machine learning analytics for improving teachers' teaching quality and improve students' learning performance. For the goal of precision education, is to identify and reach students as early as possible and provide complete education based on learning activities. So learning analytics will be the fundamental research of precision education. As you know, there are many important research of AI based on skill learning now. Learning analytics will be the we have many AI-enabled learning and technology improved. Also, we are important research of algorithms based on skill learning now. All this kind of research we have many AI-applied learning and technology improved. Also, we have important research we have many AI-applied learning and voice, image, and video. Also, using technology for new concept of learning. So here I list 6 of 8, and I will of voice, image. Also, in most of the times, we construct using technology to apply such an audio memory. So we try to compensate for things. Sorry. very difficult from the first generation of AI now. So I think it's more realistic is to do knowledge transfer. It's like a transfer learning. To transfer the knowledge of a domain is very difficult in other domains. From the first generation of AI, that's the how transfer is more realistic is to emphasize computing. That's just like a transfer. Right now, we emphasize very much the knowledge of a domain, occasionally in other domains. And also in the AI and machine learning, we should pay more attention to emotion and psychology. We emphasize computing. That's good. So it's a different kind of thinking. Not only educational, but also, and also, yeah, in the AI, we need to say more machine learning, we should pay more attention to emotion and emphasize all the technology. As I say, different kind of thinking. So we should shift not only to the human side, and also, yeah, in the AI, we need to say more humanity and human touch in our research. Emphasize all the technology. We use it to customize, even from now, personalizing the video to customize for different students. We have done beforehand and human touch. Right now, we need a real-time adaptation to fit with the visual system. Even from now, personalizing the video to customize. As to me, I know what I don't know. So I try beforehand to find out we need a real-time adaptation to reasoning to find a visual system. Most of the data analytics do things like this. However, most of the time we just don't know what I don't know. So I try beforehand. It's a kind of philosophy, but it's the worst of reasoning to find it. So through machine learning or data analytics, we are more interested in something is a hidden value of what I don't know. And I know results. That's the concept of machine learning. Instead of just giving us machine learning or reasoning, we can do it in tradition. We are more interested in something is a hidden value of what I don't know. And we try to solve problems. That's the key in one kind of domain or one kind of solution based on average. Average student is in average patients. However, in machine learning or in AI, we should try to solve problems in a specific way based on this average one at a time. So this leads to precision education. This is the main topic of my talk. How to shift from one size fits all to precision education. Our research was inspired by precision medicine, which was former President Obama of the United States. That initiative says we have a revolution of how to improve health and treat disease. So this is in Obama's initiative. Most of treatments are for average patients. That's a one size fits all problem. But not taking into account each individual's difference, such as the gene, environment, and the lifestyle. So we need to improve. So the fundamental of medicine, there are 4 steps to improve diagnosis, detection, treatment, and prevention of disease. There are many things in common between medicine and education. Both of them are 2 very important human rights. Everyone deserves good medical care, good education. So from precision medicine, we care about disease. And for education, we care about at-risk students. Students have different IQ, learning styles, learning environment, and importantly, most of students don't have learning strategies. That's why we find a way to through diagnosis and leading the way of good learning strategies to help teachers teaching and students learning. That's the main goal of precision education. So as I address, this is the research goal. We follow the 4 steps: diagnosis, prediction, and the prevention. So from the following slides, we will stick with the 4 steps. I have to move back. Probably this side is good for the format. So I have no choice. I'm sorry for my right-hand side audience. face, you have to move. Otherwise, you only see my side. Anyway, I just bring your attention to avoid forestry. Okay, my talk is, of course there's a limitation. So my limitation is under this learning environment in my schools. In fact, we construct a university-wide learning environment. So from the left-hand side is, of course there's a limitation. Design lots of learning activities, no matter what kind of learning activities. And then we deploy it on in learning environments such as Moodle, and most we use OpenX. Also we look for the ecosystem from Okata Sensei over there at Kyoto University. Professor Okata also will deliver a keynote tomorrow. So I just bring a little bit of attention and leave the most important part to Ira. The joke there is the coding environment. So all the data collected and put in the data warehouse. Then on the right-hand side is the analysis method. So we develop all kinds of analysis methods for data analysis and then generate analysis report to teachers and the learners through dashboard or written report. So this is again 3 basic studies: coding, MOOCs, and eBooks. For the first, coding. In my university, every freshman needs to take calculus. And for some of them, they can choose to take further practice on coding. So we have a course of Python for calculus, lasting for 3 weeks. There are 3 assignments, so I will base this course. This code is the system we use. It's Jupyter-based, so mainly for Python coding. We provide a dashboard and collect all the data and through dashboard to show the progress of students. This is what as a teacher, I will be interested in. What are the critical factors resulting in students' coding error? All kinds of coding error. As a teacher, how to help them? Before I can help them, I have to know what the status of them. That's the use of learning analytics. Okay, this is the definition of 15 types of errors. I just show you a quite straightforward, simple examples. So we adopt the Python building exception. There are 15 of them as students' errors. And this is we do a statistics, so find the most occurred coding error in the assignments. And based on this, we do Pearson correlation. And so we can find assignment 1. The most significant error is syntax errors. And take the right-hand side. Because assignment 1 involves lots of calculation, because it is a calculus, it involves lots of calculations. And since complex calculation will have many parentheses, so probably students commit this kind of error. And for assignment 2, involve lots of condition and loops. And in Python, they use indentation to indicate grade. So indentation errors is the most significant and most critical factors students could commit in assignment 2. For assignment 3, involves lots of drawing. So drawing, students need to import certain modules, and this will result in an error. We also apply survival analysis from the endpoint, which means the more chance you can survive, the more chance you can success, the more chance you can survive. As the right-hand side figure shows, the important thing is we have a chance to find the stress point. So the more chance with some calculation and success, we define chance 100% as our stress point. Which means if students the execution, the process, a chance of success more than over 25% more chance. That's the calculation and success. Greater than 90% chance, which means their assignment within 60 minutes as 1 out of success. And for students, execution success 75%. They only have less 60% of survival. So we use this to distinguish the forced survival. And this is the from we use this 75%. They only have less 60%. No, which student we use this to some kind of coding from forced survival. For example, here is the red. This is the number. So as a teacher, I need to notify the students who fail all the time. But for some students who fail all the time, in the same time, probably success all the time. Like the first. So as a teacher, probably the first circle, for that student, he fail a lot, but students who fail all the time. So that's the same time. But for the middle circle, here, like the first, he didn't success much, but also failed. Which means the survey is so that's students. So teachers can identify active, that's not active students. But for the middle circle, analyze how successful or he didn't success, but also failed. So this kind of thing is very important. So that's teachers together. Teachers can identify early involved. Active, you can have many kinds of, if you identify or analyze the success, probably is some coding tips. So there are many kinds of things teachers get involved. The point is how to identify which students with which kind of struggles and how to help. This is why we use the dashboard. Here's another example. It shows the number of errors and the times. For the left-hand side, students commit lots of errors, which is good. Because he tried a lot, he practiced a lot, so commit lots of errors. We encourage students to commit errors because we can help them to fix and make things better. But for students in the middle, not much errors means he didn't try, which is no good. So for the teachers, you can know this kind of status, student's status, as early as possible, and try to have a good intervention. Now let's move to books. This is a project when I was DYC, like a public service in Ministry of Education in Taiwan. When I was a director, I promote nationwide books projects. That time is just the pile of books, so Taiwan catch that, and we are doing pretty good. Okay. So I just choose one of them as an example to show how we do books and other things. As a teacher, I'm most curious about what the critical factors affecting students' performance. So I take a class example. I still use the calculus 1, because in my school, and it's implemented in the spots, so I know they're great. It's a blended, so we utilize OpenEdX as a platform, and the MapleTA. MapleTA is the exercise practice, pretty good for calculus teaching. And we also have an offline assignment and the exam. So MOOCs learning activity, video viewing and the exercise practice probably is the most popular, in Taiwan. In overseas, in other countries, the discussion is also important. But here, I limit my research to video viewing and the exercise practice. I would like to know which factor affect students' learning the most. We use the algorithm, the multiple factor analysis. It's kind of statistics. This is the result of MFA. As you know, MFA is a statistic. The result is the O. So the 2H are most significant. So from this figure, you can say on the right-hand side, it's a low grade. On the left-hand side, the student get high grade. So most significant effect to students with low grade is that blue line, which is video viewing. And for the left-hand side circle, student with GPA 5, the high grade, most significant effect to them is the green line. Green line is exercise practice. This is how we interpret this figure. So put in English, video viewing is the critical factor resulting in low grade. And exercise practice is the critical factor resulting in high grade. It's a kind of common sense. As a matter of fact, as a teacher or as a student, if I practice a lot, make a lot of assignments, then you probably can earn high grade. Just video viewing is not good enough. But if without video viewing, it's almost similar to not reading a book. So you result in low grade. That's a kind of interpretation. But we use the data to prove this common sense. We further analyze, because the video viewing is the reason resulting in low grade. So we further analyze more details, viewing activities. Here we identify 4. In fact, you can have more activities, but it's easier for illustration. So we grouped viewing activity into 4. Viewing, that's general viewing, first time watch, video viewing frequencies, and video viewing completion rate. Again, we use the MFA. So there's 3 circles. For the right-hand circles is the most significant effect to the low GPA, which is a green line and a yellow line. So the annotation is over there. Anyway, the interpretation are the same. So I move to the slide. Put in English again. So V2 and V3, critical factor resulting in low grade, which is the first time watch and video viewing frequency. So our suggestion or a teacher's intervention is we identify those students with low grade and then suggest them you should watch video earlier. You should increase viewing frequencies. It's almost similar to reading a book, right? You should, once after the lecture, students should review the book and do more exercise. And for students with the middle grade, GPA 3 and 4, the critical factor is video viewing completion rate. So we give them suggestion. If you want to earn the high grade GPA 5, you should complete the video viewing. Similarly, you should complete the book reading, no matter it's a hard paper or an ebook. As long as you can complete the reading, the more chance you can get a high grade. Okay, as a teacher, I would like to improve. If I record those videos, I would like to know how to improve my video. So before that, I need to know how my video is viewed. So here is the diagram we generated. We call it a tick graph. This is a video, and the bottom is the timeline. So you saw a couple of peak, which means during that period of time, lots of action, like play, pause, play back, since video viewing activity occurred during that time. As a teacher, I know those peaks is a period of attention, deserve my attention. I should pay more attention to those peaks to know why students have so many activities. Probably the material is too difficult. Or, since the video, right, probably the instructor is too handsome. So students staring around, or teacher is too beautiful. All the boys staring around, not doing anything. It's possible. Another possibility my student told me is the instructor told another joke. So students would like to enjoy his funny saying, so repeat again and again. So there are all kinds of reasons resulting in the period of attention. Here's another example. Okay, again, it's a video. So we track their forward and backward. And also we divide students into students who pass or fail. So on the top one is the red dot rectangles indicates the high density of backward. In the middle is the students. So students who pass also have a lot of backward action. Backward, you can interpret it. Probably you have a struggle, you don't understand, so I just look around, watch again and again. So for students who fail, it also backward. So as a teacher, you probably, I'm not guaranteed. It could be the problem is the material is too difficult. So students struggle during those period of time. So I can look at the video, that period of time, and re-examine my materials. Is that too difficult? Then I should simplify it or put more explanations. That's how to improve teacher's teaching. And this is another example. See, in the middle, students who pass, no problem. But for students who fail, all kinds of problems. Then I can identify probably the students' lack of backgrounds. And I know which group of students, in which period of time, with which materials. So this is kind of analytics. But unfortunately, so far we can do this only manually, not automatic. If we can do it automatically, then we will help teachers a lot. So it's an ongoing project. Here we move to, before this, we say a lot about the video activity, video action as a single action. So video viewing sequence is a series of those actions put together. And we try to identify students' viewing pattern out of those viewing sequences. That's what we are doing. And how they affect students' performance. When we limit our performance as grade, it's easier to conduct the experiments. So this is a viewing sequence. We use different color. So it's a green is a play. So, it's a timeline. So the interpretation of this figure is the students play backward, play backward, play backward. And the red line means forward. So as an experienced teachers, I can imagine this student quite work very hard. So he play backward. So read again, and again. After he gets everything clear, then he move forward to next session or next chapters. So through this video sequence, I can know as a teacher, I know how my students is viewing behavior about my video. So based on the button 2 papers, we define 4 viewing patterns based on the sequence. So if a student skip most of the video, it's easier. You just play from very beginning to the end, do nothing. This is kind of student. It's easier, right? Put a play button, go do something else. When the video ends, come back. Oh, I earned the hours. No, this kind of student is serving. Okay, we can identify them. So reflective students, it is repeated confirmed. So you will play, pause, backward, and things going on and on, which means it is really study very hard. Repeat again and again. For targeting, which means you already know what topic or what concept is searching for. So it's moving forward, even a fast forward, to find out what is the most important things you would like to know. So this kind of student probably will skip all the jokes because he thinks joke is no good to him. He want to find the most beautiful lady in the video. That's the main goal of his targeting. Isn't it? To me, it is kind of, right? When I saw a video of my wife, I will always look at, where is my wife? Where is my wife? She's the most beautiful woman in the world. Unfortunately, he cannot come here, and he's not my audience. So I can say this. She will never know that. Even my son was not. She skipped this, intentionally. Anyway, the comprehensive is a combination of this. I believe as a teacher, you want your students to comprehensive, or at least they are reflective and they're targeted. At least, right? At least. So we further use next sequential analysis to analyze those sequences and also identify their patterns. So for those 10 red lines, they are most significant for student tests. So we further take a look at this. We'll take a sequence number 1. So their viewing behavior is pause, seek forward, play, and seek forward. So the seeking focus of content, as we define, is targeting. Reflective, backward, play, backward again. So it's a repeated confirmation. Okay? And this is comprehensive. Okay, for students who fail, we identify 3. Different video or different course will have different transfer diagrams. I only say per specific video. So for this, the sequence number 1, the students pause and forward and play stop. Okay, so skip most of the video. It's surfing. So after knowing students' activity or their sequence and patterns, we'll further analyze their strategies and activities. It's a simple strategy, only 2, video viewing and the video exercise. So for this, we list the 6 kinds of strategies. For G1 is complete all the video and have a lot of activity, which means play, pause, backward, forward, things like that. And complete all the exercise. This kind of student will get the highest grade. And G2 is complete video, but no activities, just browse, okay? But you also complete all the exercise. For G3, partially video viewing, but also complete exercise. So G1 to G3 will get high grade. The result will show you later on. Because the main reason is they complete all the exercise. It's recall, right? Exercise practice is the critical factor resulting in high grade. So for the rest of 3, G4, G5, G6, they either only exercise or either video viewing. They probably will get low grade. So we use the same MFA. So the right-hand side is the high achievement students join on the MFA. So you see G1, G2, G3 all get high grade. And for G4 to G6, all get low grade. This is the MFA for low grade. So let's move the final case study, which is Hiroaki's work. Okay. So this part of the slide I present in Kyoto University. So I'd like to share more with more people here. This is my class. So graduate students, not much. We use Hiroaki's book roll. This is the login, what it looks like in Taiwan. So we put a book roll partnership with Kyoto University. This is the system I believe Ono Sensei also introduces, right? And Okada Sensei will present tomorrow. So I just show you it is an ebook reading system. And next page, forward page, put memo, put highlight, and we select 15 features also from Okada Sensei's paper. This is how I conduct my class. I use a flipped classroom. So my students have to read ebooks materials through book roll and deliver preview report. In class is a discussion. And after class is another report, reflection report. So students in my class have to read before, do preview, discussion in class, and do reflection after the class. So we collect all the ebook reading log into the system I showed you in the very beginning. Once again, I would like to know the students' ebook reading patterns. So we use machine learning, the clustering algorithm, and one is from the data mining algorithms. This is the first one. In general, clustering, k-mean is the most popular. So we use the k-mean as a benchmark. We choose the k as a 5, so airball. And this is the distribution of 5 clusters. As you can see, next, previous are the most used activity. That's very common. But in my class, memo, marker, and change memo also have many of them. That's because of the learning activity. I put a lot of embedded assignment or involved discussion, and discussion have to put in the bookmark, book row using memo. So it depends on your learning activity design. So we further analyze each features for the next and the previous cluster 1, the number 1. So this kind of cluster students probably serving, just turning the page. Okay. And for your right-hand side, changing memo is cluster 4. Okay, the highest changing memo. So it means it changed a lot and write a lot. Also put in English. So we follow the pattern definition I showed you beforehand. We define the 5 clusters. So cluster 0 is disengaged. Okay. Even for coding or for books, there are lots of students. They are just disengaged, not show up, not doing anything. Okay. So we still identify those kind of students. And then the serving, so I won't repeat the definitions, and targeting and reflective comprehensive. And the second way we use reading sequence. The first one is using a feature count, and this one is a reading sequence to do the clustering. And I will show you the distribution of book row actions. This is how it, well, let me explain this figure first. The top one is the distribution of high score. High score, we define the top 20 students. And the bottom one figure is the lower 20 students. This is their reading sequence distribution. There are lots of different, color are different, and density are different. So we can see the top one, high score. They involve more book row jump. Okay. More book row jump means that it will do more reflective, right? In general, we use the bookmark as a reminder. In order to then jump back to certain page to refresh. So this is why we use bookmark. Or we mark some page as an important one, just for refresh, right? Okay, so if a student has a lot of bookmark jump, which means it really do a lot of reflection. Previous page is the same, right? I will look back, and reconfirm something. Okay. And for changing memo, which means he involves lots of thinking and writing. So whenever he thinks something will change, something better, he can modify. For example, if he raises a question, and in the class, the question is solved, or he get a new thought, he will change his memo. That's why changing memo a lot. And it also involves more variety of actions. In contrast, for students with lower grade, you just add a marker and next page, nothing else. Okay. This is more passive reading. So experienced teachers can read these diagrams and diagnose how my students is reading my slide to let me know how is my material, my teaching material, because this is online learning. Students read e-books by themselves instead of teaching. It's something different from books. Books is a lot of teaching, right? So I have to say something, but for this is online reading. And we use a clustering algorithm further to the cluster to 3 types. And again, we can clustering them into 3 types. The next method we use data mining is sequence mining. As we have a reading sequence, so I would like to mining the patterns. We use motive and sliding window, which is 3. We use exploratory factor analysis, EFA. So the main point is we find the minimum number of motifs and vectors to explain the maximum of variance. This is how this figure shows. For example, the blue dotted line over there, it indicates there are 18, we use 18 motifs, which means that most frequently occurred motif, the top 18 most frequently occurred motif. With 4 factors, we can have 90% explanation of variance. And for the green dot line on your right-hand side, it means we need to take 50 motifs in 10 factors in order to have 95% of explanation of variance. So this is the result of by the blue block indicate there are 18 motifs. And the red rectangles means it is the most variance in the 4 factors. That's how we interpret this. So I will go further. Okay, so anyway, what I would like to say is with different algorithms, we can detect or identify students' reading patterns based on their reading sequence. Okay, next is for the move to the second step, prediction. For the coding and the MOOCs, I didn't show how to do prediction. We do prediction, but I didn't show it. And so I would like to make it complete only for the book row. So here is how we do prediction of learning. As I said, for education or the data sets, most of them are unbalanced because most of the students can pass, fewer students fail. So it's the result of the data imbalance. And another problem is different instructors have a different policy of grading. So the grading is very important. Grading depends on the assessment matrix. And this will have important effect to label. For some machine learning, we need to define feature and the labels. This will affect the labels. So in my class, I define 3 kinds of scores. Firstly, the law is the engagement behavior. That's quite common. But the things interesting is I can rate the quality of their marker and the memo. So this will be really affect and change the behavior of students when they do marker and write memo, because instructor is grading it. But you know, as a teacher, you won't look into every student's every slide. So we use auto grading. So auto grading is very important here. So we have an algorithm to auto grading. We can grade students the quality of marker and memos, which will lead students to pay more attention to mark precisely, to write good memos. And also for the written reports, we emphasize on the quality of their writing. No matter it is a reflection or preview, we also use auto grading. There are all kinds of auto grading. You can do corpus-based, semantic-based, or knowledge-based. That depends. So in general, we will use it in sample to normalize, to get a more reasonable grading. And you know there is a side effect. Once the students know teachers use auto grading, they can play trick in order to cheat. Do you know how to cheat? Yes, we all know how to cheat, as long as you know the algorithm. You know how the algorithm is running, you know how to cheat the algorithm. So we are not cheating our teachers, we're cheating that algorithm. We're trying to defeat that algorithm. I'm one of their students, defeat the algorithm. So that's very interesting. So running an experiment or doing this kind of research, a teacher also can play as a student to know how students viewing your system. And every exam we have to use human grading. That's the score part. Okay, here are the 8 classifications, very general, common used algorithms. So you can use more algorithms to make a comparison. Here is only showing examples. What the things we use to measure how good the performance of prediction is, we use all kinds of evaluation metrics, especially the AUC, the area under curve. It's a more reasonable metric to use. This is the result. So logistic regression has the best prediction performance. It's AUC almost 0.95. In general, if your AUC is between 0.5 and 1, 0.5 means you just guess. Wild guess, you can get 50%. Right? As close as to 1 is better. So this kind of prediction is pretty good. And we have different metrics, so different scores. So log is better performance than preview, than reflection, and better than exam. So sometimes that depends, but exam really cannot reflect the true learning behavior of students. Exam only indicate in a certain area, certain time, the performance of students at that time, right? If you come into the anxiety and unwilling to take exam, then the exam is really, you need to think about that. So you cannot put the exam as your only scores. And we also further run experiments to find out the critical factors. It's quite interesting to find that delete bookmark is a critical factor. And we will finally find out why delete bookmark is so critical. Because we ask the students, if you already understand this page, then you should delete it. That's why the reason delete bookmark is so critical as a critical factor. So this experiment result will be totally different. It depends on teacher's learning activity design. So that's why it is so important about the design of learning activity. As a teacher, no matter what kind of system, even ebook, MOOCs, or face-to-face, or coding, that's the same. The design of learning activity is very, very important. Now we see the treatment with early intervention. As I said, most of students don't know what's a good learning strategy. So we try to use SRL as a treatment. So for students who are disengaged and serving, what they need is motivation. So as a teacher, if you spend most of your time in motivate students, then you don't have much energy for the rest of them. So probably you need something else, try to motivate students. But for reflective students, we will encourage them to define their goal setting, to do good time management, and do more elaboration, to make them better and get better. And we can, through the book road activities, such as improve their quality of bookmark and memo and a written report. For targeting students, we encourage them to do more self-evaluation. They have a goal. They know what they learned, but they also need more time for reflection. So we will encourage them to make more memo, make more bookmark, and do more bookmark job. That's through the book road learning activities. So based on that, the instructor can further improve their design of learning activity. For example, how to encourage students to use keywords, identify keywords and the concept through the bookmark, through a marker and memos, which is the function from book road. And once they know, they raise comments or raise questions in the class discussion. And once they already get the answers, they should delete that mark or add more marker and memos. So this is activities occurred during class discussion. Students still can use book road to make lots of memo. And this is what I said. we encourage students to put bookmark as a reminder. And also, when students flashback, they can identify which page are important. I will put some embedded question in my slide. It's very like pop-up questions. So those questions the students have to read before attend the class and answer those questions. So that will make them, move back a lot, because they need to understand what the question is, what the definition, and how to answer those questions. So students will involve lots of previous page, bookmark, markers, things like that. So that's why my class students have many activities using book rule. So again, design of learning activity is so important. Finally, I would like to share prevention. Education not like a medical medicine. Doctor can give you medicine, right? Can give you pills. But education for students at risk, you just know magic pills. If you can find a magic pill of education, you will be a billionaire. But the truth is, you cannot do that. You just have no way to do it. So, through some kind of, training or intervention is quite important. So I put this acronym of SMART, the 5 keywords, is for students' mind. We encourage students for self-regulated learning and self-paced. But before that, students need to set a specific goal. That goal is the right direction. No matter students point to the right direction or his instructor help him or her point to the right direction. That's specific. Next is measurable. Things have to be measurable in order to improve. It's very important, right? So for individualized learning, students also have to define the scope he can measure. So the scope needs to be big enough to measure and small enough to win. For example, I want to be the number 1 in my class. That's too big because my classmates are so strong. But if I can make some other kind of goals I can accomplish, they're quite important. And then is adaptive. For adaptive learning, students need to be alert, catch up, and refocus. So students need to make an agreement with him or herself. How to make him adaptive. Finally, is collaborative learning. I usually like to quote this. If we cannot enjoy ourselves, we should enjoy somebody else. It's my interpretation of collaborative. So I must find someone who are worth to be worked with, right? Example, Dewa is my very best friend. I would like to collaborate with him. Hirua is my best friend. Yanshin, my best friend. Right? So I would like to collaborate with them because I feel happy work with them. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy myself. Finally, it's just in time. It's a good thing. Good theory. It means that you learn something when you need it, just in time. So it's like this. Time is not measured by a watch. So I know they raise a flag, remind me time is up. But in general, I don't measure time by a watch, but by moment. So if you feel this moment is good, like I did, I would like to share this cherished moment with you. It reminds me again, time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this humorous and also entertaining talk. So, just wonder whether you have any questions.
Wonderful analysis of, and it's very useful tool for the teachers. Michael? my question is related to the smart mind, the concept that we have given. Students with the smart mind, if you want to create smart students as an ART, those who have been throughout their life, they have been through the one formula fits all and group teaching and all that. From there to individual smart mind. What do you think? How much efforts we need to make them unlearn those practices to learn this smart concept?
It's a good question. This question is regarding the smart. What's called smart? Okay. I would think that smart is a kind of a philosophy, or the learning philosophies. Make students know those kind of learning strategies is really related to something in your life, so that they can make a connection. So through understanding those strategies, can realize or fulfill, make his life better. Because the goal of education is to make better students, to make better living. Right? I think that's the purpose of education. So I wish to train my students to have a better life and become a better person, not a better researcher or not a good engineer. It's not my purpose. I wish to have a very good life in his career. So that's why I teach them use a simple word, simple sentence to explain what's your life philosophy.
Thank you, Professor Yang. It was a very, very interesting talk. Maybe related to what you just said about wanting your students to have a better life. Is there ever an option to give up? I mean, if you see that the student is truly struggling, at what point do we tell them that maybe this isn't for you, maybe we should try something else?
Yeah. Most of the time, students are too shy to let somebody else, include teachers or his or her classmates, know they are struggling. That's why we do learning analytics, try to know or understand whom and struggling what. But the time of intervention is very important. And also should I give them intervention? This is also a question. If for some students, they just don't like this, and but it's like need a more human touch in order to know the students' personalities. I don't think technology can solve this, but technology can provide some hint or recommendation or suggestion to instructors to know more about their students. But when or how to involve the intervention still need a professional. So instructor is not kind of professional. I'm lucky, most of my students are not that shy. That depends the institute that you are.
So it's already 10 o'clock. Maybe one more question.
Sure. Yeah.
The question is about the smart concept, especially the one about the time. So any examples that you can share us about how to give just-in-time reminders to students? Because years with one is very challenging. Any examples?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all are so interested in the last smart. Okay, because that's the most difficult to answer. I would more prefer you will ask me some technical issues which I answer. But for smart, I believe all of you are smart. You know how to do it better than I am. Right? Regarding your questions, just in time. What do you want to know just in time at this moment?
Yeah, for example, if we observe that some students are not not do the pre-class activity, what should we do? When should we give them a remind, and how can we remind them to do the pre-class review?
I understand. In terms of learning, I think the best just in time is Google. Right? Anytime you don't know, you just Google. It's the way we are doing. I believe many of you are also use Google, but you don't know something you are not familiar with. That's the things I can answer. But to me, it's more, I care more about, I recall that Asian told me one thing. Every time you go out sightseeing or travels, you will have some regret. Because you are busy with photo taking, conversation, and do lots of things. You will have many regrets. But that regrets will make you come to this place once again. That's a very important just-in-time message Asian delivered to me. Because one time we went together. I said, oh, what a regret! I missed so many good places. And the nation just told me that. I think that's an example of just in time. You need a just in time good friend. It's very important. I have many just in time good friends. I believe all of you are my good friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yang and Professor Chen. Now we would like to present our certificates of appreciation activity to Professor Stephen Yang. Thank you, Professor Chen. And our next speech is Noon 103 and Noon 105. Thank you, everyone.